Hello there! In this video we're going to be looking at how safety and security, or the search for them, affect our emotional state. In short, it can be very hindering, mostly because security is a concept that we have of how things should be, of how we believe things should be, and the way that we imagine life should be and is the best version. But how can we actually determine and say what's best if we have limited experience, limited knowledge, and our own understanding is based on thoughts that we consider important? So everybody has different thoughts, and that means that the best version is different for everybody, which means that we don't actually know what is the best way for something to happen. We don't know what the best course of action is for something to be achieved. It's mostly a thought. The only thing that we know is if we want to continue or we want to quit. What do I mean? The security is practically knowing that everything is going to be alright, and that's why we like it or we strive towards it, because we believe that this is definitely the way that we should go. But it doesn't really provide any significant results when we actually use it. The paradox is that we believe it's helping us, whereas it actually isn't. Mostly we use security to enable ourselves to be calm, to be respectful, to be gathered up, to have our mind set on something and just be clear on what's going to happen and know what's going to happen with us. Because mostly if we don't, we get scared, and that's kind of the issue. But the biggest issue is that while we're doing that, while we're focusing on those thoughts, emotions, and actions, we're actually missing out on so many things. The security means that we should do only the things that we know are going to happen, going to work, and know what results they're going to produce. That's really close to a paradox, because on one hand, it's just us thinking that how things are going to happen. There's no actual confirmation that they are actually going to happen in that way, and that's kind of the issue, because every single moment is different. Once we start believing that we know better, that's the moment that we start losing more and more opportunities to move forward, because security and safety are thoughts based on experiences that we've already had, things that we already know, which means that if there's something that we don't know, we have no information of how it's going to develop, what's going to happen, it's most probable that we're going to skip them. It's most probable that we're going to neglect the new opportunities that come our way, just because we are unsure or we just don't know what is going to happen. So the issue is that while we're looking for safety and security, we're actually limiting ourselves, our emotions, our actions, and the way that we express ourselves. And if you don't know, let me share with you that while we're looking for security and stability beforehand, we limit our actions because we don't know how to use new opportunities, new things. We're just stuck at the moment that we are in and the experiences that we've already had, and trusting only the things that we know. So that means that making new connections, gaining new opportunities is practically closest to impossible, because new opportunities means that we don't know what's necessarily going to happen. We need to specifically have the logical connection and conclusion of what's going to happen as a result of our actions in order to decide if we're going to do it, and we have to know that it's good. But the thing is that even if we have a negative experience on something, with something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a negative path, because there are a lot of different people, and some of them, when they try the same path that we've walked on, some of them succeed. So it can also be an affirming experience because it is something that has worked out in the end. And that means that we can't be sure of something that's going to fail. It's just that we failed, but that doesn't mean other people will. And here's the problem. When we're looking for security and stability, safety, before we actually attempt to do something, we are most likely to limit the actions of others as well, because we believe that the place where we failed is something that nobody should bother with, be it because we're afraid of reproducing the results, or we just believe that there's no point in that working out or trying it because it's not much of a dead end. But again, the truth is that where we failed, others can succeed, and that's kind of the idea of giving it forward to the next generation and believing in it because it's going to do better than us. And mostly whatever we fail on, it goes to the next generation to fix or redo or reassemble. The other more important thing that happens when we're not looking for new opportunities is that we get lazy. The people that look for security and safety are mostly people that believe things should happen the way they are, but also don't. It's really a paradox. It's an interesting activity and mindset because people in that state generally believe that everything is okay the way that it should be, but whatever else happens is the second best thing to a threat. Because the new things that happen to them, they are new, and since they are looking for safety and security, they don't know how to use them. They don't have the experience. They don't have the emotional maturity to actually express their feelings in a way that will be beneficial. And mostly what these people do is that they wait for things to fix themselves, which is not really useful because there's no activity. I mean, we are emotional people. We are striving towards new goals, new things, new experiences, and the most exciting things that we do are the things that are new to us because it's something that we can explore from the ground up. And from my experience, what I've seen is that we all love focusing on that specific idea so hard that we can develop almost an infinite amount of different possibilities, what it can be used for and how it can be useful for others. Because the more that other people use it, it's going to be that much different with every single person, and that much more we are able to see the new applications that other people use it from. And that's a learning experience, and that's another new thing that we can work on, that we can develop, that we can build up from. Now, why is that important, or why do we think that it's important? Mostly because if we're working on something, it's because we like to work on it. It's something that we're devoted to. It's something that we believe in. It's something that we are ready to do everything in order to push forward. And practically, that's what everybody, I think, is looking for. Something that they can devote themselves to. And a lot of times with us, it is with a new partner. But why just stop at one? Let's look at that way. There are so many different planes in our life that we can work on that there's practically enough space for a lot of things to happen. And the more we work, the more we develop, the better it is for everybody around us because we are learning new things, we are experiencing new things, and in our striving towards new goals, new experiences, we help and allow others to believe that they can actually be useful. But that's just a side effect, okay? Let's be fair. The most important thing is that when we're experiencing new things, we are happier because our life is more diverse. There are a lot of new things that we can look towards, that we can experience, and so on. Just so that I don't repeat myself over and over again. But that is the main focus of this channel and the ideas that we're sharing here. So it's very important to understand why we're talking about this. The people that don't work, the people that are waiting for things to happen, that are waiting for everything to be made ready for them, to be a given, are practically people that are most likely to be depressed, to be closed off, to be alone, because they believe that the way that the life works is not simple. That's the short version of it. It's mostly because the searching for security is very hard, and that's really an honest answer to the question, what does security, safety, and stability look like? Hard work. And it's hard mostly because we don't know how to work with it. When the paradox is that when we're working on something and we're striving and we're decisive on developing it, so we're striving towards developing it in every single moment, in every single way that is imaginable to us, regardless of the way that it's going to happen and regardless of the results that are going to be produced, we are still ready to work more and more until we reach the so-called goal. It's kind of hard to call it a goal because a goal is an endpoint, and us looking for new planes to experience is a direction that we're moving in. So we just have markers that we wish to achieve as a result, but mostly it's just something that we wish to experience along the way. The problem is that the people that are too lazy to do that and think that they should just wait for something to happen to come their way is practically that nothing happens, and that's the truth of it. They are most prone to depression because there are no new experiences. As I mentioned earlier, new experiences are the things that are most probable to give us new emotions, to provoke us to be an emotional state. That might be angry, that might be happy, but again, we're the ones that are choosing how we're going to experience it. So again, if we choose to experience it in a positive way, or learn if it's a negative experience and we've experienced it in a negative way, we can always choose to learn from it and use it in a positive way, which means that it can still be positive regardless of the initial way that we've experienced it. And to be fair, from my experiences, the things that we've already learned, the things that have been hard, that have been aggressively experienced by myself, are one of the most beautiful things, because it's actually, on one hand, it's showing me that I have a negative understanding of it and a negative perspective, whereas it can be used in a very useful way, a very productive way, and that's pretty much it. Notice how my voice changes when I'm talking about something aggressive. I'm kind of going about it very enthusiastic, even. It's kind of very up and down. Whereas when I'm talking about something that's calm and something that's positive, it's more over like something that just is, that's something beautiful. We don't need to change it. It just is great the way that it is. And that's kind of the difference between waiting for something to happen, believing that it's supposed to happen the way that it is, and not working on it, just waiting for it to be a given, with working on it, accepting it. And the two parts might coincide in the way that accepting it is also waiting for it to happen and accepting it the way that it is. But the people that don't work on themselves and don't work on developing anything don't understand what's happening. It's really about being more awakened, more self-conscious when we're working on something, whereas when we aren't, we're just misunderstanding mostly what's happening around us, because again, security, stability, and safety are mindsets that are based on our limited perception of what life is. So if we filter everything through that, a lot of things can become hurtful, a lot of things can be hard to experience. And or live through even. Whereas if we're consciously looking for new experiences, we're looking for new planes, we're looking for new ways to adapt the things that are happening around us. And through all of that, just because we're striving and we are having those experiences, we are having more experience. That's pretty much it, because the new emotions that we're going to experience, they're new to us, and at some point, even if it's hard for us in the beginning, they become very exciting. We start looking for more and more of those new experiences, what we can do, what can happen, what are the different opportunities that can be produced from just one action, because it's just that we're becoming that curious to see how life is going to unfold. And not knowing becomes an exciting part of our life, because we're always surprised at what's going to happen. And that piece of experience, as well as the rearranging of our emotions and our thoughts based on the new experiences, is something that everybody who is not working is lacking in a very big amount. The problem is that the lack of experience is causing us to be emotional, because it's a new experience. And if we don't have the self-awareness of what our reactions are, what our thoughts are, how we perceive the world, we're very likely to implode. Or that's pretty much the emotional expression that we look at. It's like exploding, and the result is very negative most of the time, because the lack of experience and the self-awareness means that we're just going to express the emotion in a way that's kind of impulsive. It's an impulsive emotion, and a lot of times the impulsive emotions are negative. They're directed towards disliking what's happening, disliking what other people think of us, disliking what or how we perceive the world, or how it's changing in general. And the fact that we are used to not looking at the world full of new experiences and wondering how to adapt them is kind of pushing us towards pursuing it in a negative way, because again, it's not known to us. It has just poked us in a very uncomfortable way to be emotional, and since we don't want to focus on our emotions, it is most probable that we're going to interpret it as something bad. That's the truth that I've discovered about security, stability, and safety. It's practically something that we're all striving towards, and we can achieve it, but the paradox for a lot of us is that it should be achieved through action instead of just waiting for everything to slim down, to go down, to be more calm, just so that we can feel safe. And that's the biggest issue in general, because when we're looking for safety, we're limiting ourselves. But if we're looking for ways to adapt, overcome new things, and still find a way to continue on that path, whatever happens, that's actually the security, safety, and stability that we're all striving towards, because we know what's happening, we know why it's happening, we have the adapted filters, we have the understanding, we're developing the understanding that's going to help us understand what we're supposed to do in order to achieve that. Whereas if we're just waiting for things to be secure, safe, and stable, they're not. They are never going to be. We're just living in a lying to ourselves, because we believe that something should be the way that we believe it should be. This is everything for now. I'm going to leave you to think about what we've explored here in this video. If you think that it's useful, always please share it with others so that we can help them understand better what emotional intelligence is, and in this case, security, safety, and stability. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel to keep an eye out for the new videos, because we're going to continue in this direction. And for now, this is it. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.